STEM at the Laing Middle School. This is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
This is Cadet Chair Turnage. Can you hear me?
Cadet Turnage, I got you loud and clear. Laing Middle School. How are you?
I'm great, sir. The middle school is pretty excited. We are honored to have you speaking here with us today. And we have some young scientists here who are eager to ask you questions. So with your permission, we'll go ahead and begin.
That would be great. I hope that all of you guys are doing well after the hurricane came through a few weeks ago.
You ready? Go ahead and introduce yourself.
My question is, what classes, majors, or activities did you take in college that helped you in becoming an astronaut?
Great question, because there are so many things that are required for this job, because there's such a variety of things that we do. I was a math major, so I was the M in STEM going through the Citadel. But I was always fascinated with the science stuff too, physics and chemistry, how things worked, why they worked. So that was also a very interesting and necessary part of my education. But also going back into high school and other things is things like metal shop and wood shop were things where I'm physically learning how to use tools and how to make things and how to solve problems in a concrete sense versus just a theoretical sense like I was maybe during math. And so the thing that I always loved about math was that it teaches you how to solve problems. And I remember one course I took my senior year at the Citadel, and it was called like complex numerical analysis. And I think the only numbers I ever saw that entire semester in that math class were the numbers of the problems. You know, problem number one, and then it was all formulas and letters and all that kind of and symbols. And so what I loved about it was that math teaches you, if you can't solve a problem one way, you can find another way to solve the problem. And that trait is one thing that is absolutely critical that for me as a, when I was a Marine Corps officer, when I was a pilot, test pilot, and now certainly as an astronaut.
Hello, my name is Emma Reed, and my question is, what do you think the next big accomplishment or discovery will be in space?
I think the next big accomplishment, because we just had a really revolutionary one really recently. We had not one, but two U.S. companies take the first stage of their rocket, launch the payload into space, and return that rocket back to the Earth, where it can be reused. Very expensive part, very big part, has a lot of the engines. That's revolutionary. That's like when we started building airplanes, at the turn of the century, back 100 years ago. So I think, nowadays it's going to be the spacecraft. Right now we've been flying here on the space station for 17 years. We've got vehicles that are coming to and from the space station built by commercial companies. But this craft, Orion spacecraft, that's the one that's going to actually go out beyond the Van Allen radiation belts and the protection of the that we have here surrounding the Earth. And so the vehicles that can go out and withstand the deep space, and then the propulsion systems that'll get us to the next planets, where right now we have to carry all the fuel with us. And once we burn it, getting out of the atmosphere, we don't have it to go places. And so we're kind of limited on how far and how fast we can go. But once we can go ahead and figure out how to get engines that can fire the whole time and fuel them, well, then we can get places a lot quicker, and that's going to be revolutionary as far as travel within our solar system and beyond.
Hello, my name is Isaiah Roper, and how did the solar eclipse look like from the ISS on Monday, August 21st?
Well, hopefully they're able to show you on the big screen some pictures I sent you that show what the solar eclipse looked like. None of us had ever seen one from space, and so it was pretty amazing. We're all crammed up in the windows, like kind of like kids in the car when you first get to Disney World, to see what's there. And there was this big, huge shadow, and it was just amazing how there's, especially when it was over the clouds, how bright and white the clouds were, and just how pitch black the clouds became underneath that shadow on the ground. And then certainly looking up at the sun, we had special, solar glasses like everybody else, and we had actually filters on our big cameras when we're taking pictures of the sun. And to see the, the sliver, or the sun get covered up by the moon and then grow back the other way, because we actually were able to look up and see the sun on a couple of the passes where we only had shadow on the ground through one of the passes.
Hello, my name is Avery Robinson, and my question for you is, how many and which languages are used on the ISS?
Well, English is the official language, but working over in the Columbus module right now, we have Paolo Nispoli, a European astronaut. He's Italian, and so he speaks Italian when he likes, but typically English to us. Over on the Russian segment, we've got 2 cosmonauts. Their primary language is Russian, but they know English, and so we can talk English here. But all of us came up on the Russian Soyuz spacecraft, so all of us speak Russian as well. So it's funny, especially as we try and practice each other's language. You'll have the Russian cosmonauts talking to us in English, and then we'll be trying to respond back to them in Russian just so we can keep our skills up.
Hi, my name is Grace Ray, and my question is, what is the mission of your team while on the ISS?
We've got a lot of things, but first and foremost is this huge orbiting laboratory where you can only do things in 0G, or we say microgravity, is execute the science. That's the whole reason it's here. Part of the science is science experiments that are sent up that we put into laboratory environments and go ahead and take a look at. Part of the science is us. We're looking at the human bodies and how they respond to nutrition and food and radiation, sleep, all these different types of things, so that when we want to go somewhere other than just Earth and beyond low Earth orbit, we know how the human body might respond or how we can protect it when we go out long duration missions like I showed you with that Orion spacecraft. So we've got all kinds of science going on, but we also have this lab that has to be maintained. So we're here to go ahead and fix it, repair it, keep it up so it can be here long beyond what we thought it was going to initially be last until.
Hello, my name is Bryant Nowicki, and my question is, what is the protocol if you encounter unnatural things in space?
All right, I'm not sure what you mean by unnatural, but if it's something that is not normal inside the space station, that'd be something that, because I think is something that we didn't plan on being here, that's something that, because we haven't cleaned the station or something's gotten dirty, that something starts to grow, like a bacteria or a fungus or something like that. So we don't have that happen because we clean the station all the time. And so we like to make sure that this is clean, it's an environment, because everywhere that's in here is what we're breathing, and there's no fresh air or fresh breeze. You can't open a window to go ahead and have fresh air come in. Now, if you're talking about stuff outside the space station, like maybe extraterrestrials, well, that is not something that we have planned, because that's something we haven't seen. But I'm sure that Mission Control has probably thought about that, and they might have something in their playbook. But as far as we know, if somebody comes knocking on the door, we'll talk to Mission Control and get their opinion before we welcome them in.
Hello, my name is Cameron Street, and my question is, how has plant growth in space been a challenge, and what ideas have you had thus far?
The question was, how has it been adapting to gravity? It's pretty amazing that, it's the first time you've been in this situation. All of you have been on a roller coaster or in a car that's going fast, and you go over a bump and you kind of just float up and your body just, feels loose, and it's kind of, most of the time most people giggle and laugh. It's the same joyful feeling up here in zero gravity, because you can do things you can't normally do on Earth. Something you can do only underwater when you're holding your breath. But to be able to just flip around and change your orientation, it's a fun thing, and it's amazing how quickly your body adapts to zero gravity and thinking like it. And so if I want to move somewhere, all I have to do is just reach my finger over and just push, and I start moving. And if I don't like what I see, I just reach up and push and come back the other direction. You got to push on solid stuff, not like those wires. So it's really only about 2 days or so, I think, to even someone it's their first time coming here, that takes them to adapt and to be able to move around pretty easily. Then it gets exciting and you feel adventurous, and then you got to worry about being overconfident and going too fast.
Hi, my name is Catherine Tuxworth, and my question is, what was the worst part of your training?
The worst part of my training, and I think you have a picture of this one too, shows my amazing wife Rebecca, my son Wyatt, and my daughter Abigail. And my daughter's 7. My son Wyatt's 11. In fact, he just started middle school last month. And for the 2 years leading up to my flight, I spent almost a year of that in Russia training for the flight, for the Russian segment, for the Soyuz spacecraft that had come up from Earth and then returned to Earth on. And just like the men and women of our military, it's tough. You're doing your job, you're serving your country, whatever way that is, but you're separated from your family. And so for me, that was the toughest part. The astronaut training, we got such good people training us that they can make a, I'm sure they could train a monkey to fly. And so, even a stick monkey like myself, a pilot, they were able to get me to the point where I'm able to come up here and do the science and do the work. So that part's the easier side of, missing the family.
Do you ever feel nostalgic about your life on Earth?
I certainly do. There are things that you miss eating, things that you miss, drinking. You don't have ice cubes you can put in your drink when you're warm. Certainly, the smells. There's one smell throughout station, and you have it the whole time. But also, you miss, as a human being, physical interaction. My son and daughter give great hugs, and I miss that. I miss kissing my wife, because the other 5 guys on station, I'm sorry, that doesn't cut it. So you appreciate their camaraderie as crewmates, but that's the kind of stuff you can't get from them, and that's certainly the stuff you sit there and look forward to when it comes time to come home. That those are the things that you will be looking forward to the most.
What specific jobs do you and your fellow crew perform in space?
Well, I mentioned there's science, and so there's jobs that we can do all over space station every day. That's the science part of our jobs. We have jobs where we go ahead and repair things. Right now, Paolo's fixing a light that we'll take out on a camera and put on the outside of the space station on a spacewalk on the 10th of October. Joe Acaba and Mark Vandehei are down there in the airlock preparing our spacesuits for the spacewalk this Thursday and getting batteries charged and getting the suits ready. We also have 2.5 hours every day where we need to get on our exercise bicycle, our exercise treadmill, or we're actually doing resistive exercise. It's basically space equivalent of lifting weights to keep our bodies in shape so we don't lose our muscles, so we don't lose our bone density. I mentioned cleaning is one of our tasks. And then the other part is talking to you guys. We've got this great orbital laboratory, amazing, national laboratory that we have to do all this science. We have people up here living continuously for 17 years. And guess what? We need people beyond us to do this job and take us beyond space station. That's you guys in school. You guys studying, looking at all these neat, things in STEM that allow you to figure out how to make things or engineer things or build things or create things or think of things that have never been made. That's you guys. And then you guys are going to be the astronauts that take us over to Mars or beyond.
Hello again. My next question is, what are the psychiatric effects of being in space?
Well, certainly, we touched on it a little bit. With you miss your family, you miss some of the physical interaction that you have with people. I wouldn't say you really get lonely because you got crewmates up here and you're able to talk with them, so you have human-to-human contact. We also have really great technologies that allow us to go to our computers, get on an internet protocol phone, and call down and talk to anybody you want all over the world. Anytime we have satellite coverage. So that is a huge, huge thing that allows us to be much more connected to the Earth than the space flyers had, even 7-8 years ago, and certainly before that. We could only talk to people on the radio. So that really helps. We've got email. We've got TV that's sent up. We've got other things up that allow us to try and keep somewhat of a normal or Earth-based day or psychiatric condition available. But we also have great, doctors, and we got psychiatrists and psychologists that are assigned to us that help us prepare for the flight, that help us, talk to us every week to make sure that, hey, what's going on? How can we help? And so we've got people all kinds of people that are helping us out so we don't end up having issues. And if an issue comes up, we're able to fix it. They also take care of our families. So it really is a good program we have that supports the crew members up here so we do not have psychiatric effects. The biggest effect is once you get into this environment for the first time is being able to absorb it. And then after that, you're able to absorb it and move around and all that. It's then trying to be able to take this amazing experience and translate it into words to share it with you guys. Because so far we've only had 500 and something human beings that have ever been able to get into space. And hopefully that'll change in the future. But until then, it's our requirement of ours and our honor and our privilege to be able to share that with you guys so you can feel like you're a part of it too.
Commander, this is Jared Turnage again. We'd like to thank you for spending your time with us today. And before you leave, I wanted to give you a big shout out from Band Company. We're all thinking about you and we're all proud of you. We'll be following your upcoming spacewalks and your work on the International Space Station until your safe return.
Thank you, Cadet Turnage. Thank you, Laing Middle School. It was great to see you. I hope that you learned something and that all the STEM things that the Citadel is talking to you about, these are things that interest you. Figure out how things work, how to make things that haven't been done, and you'll be the ones that will take us further into space than we are right now. So good luck and enjoy the rest of your school year.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the event.
Thank you to all participants from the Citadel STEM at the Laing Middle School. Station, we're now resuming operational audio communications.